Thank you. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Charlie. There are some new faces here, some not so new faces. But I'm Charlie. I am the youth pastor here. I've been the youth pastor for going on my third year now. And I'm currently a student at Northwest University. I'm in my certificate of ministry class, and the class that I'm currently in now is Preaching 1. So I'm learning how to be a better youth pastor for you guys and to be able to teach you guys better. And Pastor Darrell is going to take advantage of that too a little bit. So that's where I'm at now. However, because I have a job, dirty word, I don't like that. It's hard for me to go to school. It takes a lot. I work for 8 hours every day, and I come home and I have to do 4 to 6 hours worth of homework. How many of you guys, obviously you're all in school, most of you are in school, I hope still, right? You're in school? Alright, cool. So, how many of you guys come home and have to do an hour's worth of homework every day? Okay. How many of you are forced to do an hour's worth of homework every day? Alright, thank you. Let's just put their hands down. How many of you come home and have to do 2 hours worth of homework every day? Do you really? Pretty amazing, actually. What are your grades like? I like to do work, but I got 2 years workshop. It's kind of hard to do homework in a workshop, though. I mean, you can sand a piece of wood or something, but it's kind of tough. So, how many of you do more than 2 hours of the homework a day? You really? How much do you do? How much homework would you say you do at the most? 3 hours of homework? That's not too bad. That's on the low end for me. Okay? I work for 8 hours every day, and I come home, and I'll do from anywhere from 4 to 6 hours worth of homework a night. Because I got to do a lot. I got to write a lot of papers. I got to post on forums online. I have to do a lot of studying, especially for this. I had to do a lot of studying for this. A lot of reading. Okay? How many of you like to read? How many of you like to read boring instructional books? I knew there would be one person who had their hand up. This reading that I'm doing is about the Bible, if it's not the Bible itself, most of the time. And I just have to read about books of the Bible, people of the Bible, look up words that are in the Bible, find out what they mean, and then I can turn around and apply it. So you guys, you go to school for what, 6 hours? 7 hours? Something like that? Yeah, that's alright. Then you come home and do 2 or 3 hours worth of work, do some homework, and you're able to apply it later because they give you a test, right? And that's pretty cool. Huh? Right. So, like many of you, how many of you would consider yourself really good students? Okay, how many of you would consider yourself good students? Okay, how many of you would consider yourself average students? Come on, all of you should be raising your hands. You're all better than average. Okay? Unlike you that have your hands up, I was not an average student. I was a bad student. I didn't get very good grades. Okay? I didn't pay very much attention. And I didn't try when I was in school. So I actually ended school I didn't graduate from high school. I dropped out. Okay? I don't recommend that for anybody. That's a hard way of doing it. But when I ended school, I think I had a 1.2 GPA. Okay? I didn't even know that's possible. I thought that's like negative. Okay, that's like negative. Right? So I ended up getting my GED. I wanted to say GPS there for some reason. I can find my way around anywhere. But I got my GED. And barely did that. But now that I'm here and I'm going to school, God has been, for Northwest University, God has been taking care of it. And it has been very hard for me to go to the school because of work and because of all the studying that I have to do and all the reading and the writing when I wasn't a good student to begin with. And then to be able to pay for it on top of that because I didn't know how to do it. But God took care of it. Right? We're not behind on any payments. And the thing I'm most proud of, the thing that gives me the most joy, is that I've tried really, really hard, and now my grades are a 3.2, I believe. And for the first time in my life, I'm on the honor roll. And I don't mean to be proud, but yes, thank you. Thank you. It's not me, like I said, it's God. I'm focusing on God, and God is giving me joy because of all the hard work that I'm having to do. Now, like I said, in school, I wasn't the greatest student. The only reason why I passed my classes is so I could play sports. That's the only reason why. I think the only reason why I went to school was so I could hang out with my friends and play sports. How many of you play sports? Alright. How many of you run track? Alright, I have that in common. I used to run track. I lettered in it. So I lettered in track. I was a long jumper, a high jumper. I ran the 300 meter. I ran the 4x1 relay, and I pole vaulted. I wasn't very good at it. I really have no idea. I think we lettered just by showing up in track. To tell you the truth. I don't know. I liked it, but it really wasn't my thing. However, football, on the other hand, was my thing. I'm not saying I was very good at it. I'm not saying I was the greatest or the most talented or gifted or anything like that. And to tell you the truth, I was very small. I was very undersized. Okay. Can you make it very concentrated? When I was in a sophomore in high school, I weighed 108 pounds, and I was about 5'8". So the average height and weight difference between me and the rest of my teammates was kind of like this, between her and I right here, okay? About like this, and I'm a bit bigger than her with my old age. That was about average for me, okay? And so you got this little guy taking on these big guys, and everybody's like, oh, I'm just gonna steamroll this little kid. I'm afraid I'm gonna hurt him. Well, I had this mindset, okay, that I was gonna work hard, really, really hard, and I didn't care who was in front of me. I was gonna hurt them. Only on the football field, okay? Let me make sure I'm clear. That's the only time it's okay. Okay. So I had this mindset that I didn't care how big you were. If you were in my way, you were going to get punished. And that's the way I played ball. And it worked out for me to the point where I didn't start varsity games, but I started every single JV game until I quit school. Now, it was to the point where I had to take myself out of games because I was in pain, or because I needed to go to the bathroom, or whatever it was. My coaches didn't want to take me out of the game. And it's not because I was overly talented or tall, but they knew they could put me out there and I would get the job done. My last year, I actually lettered in football because I played in one varsity game. Okay? I got to go to this one varsity game. It was like the last game of the season, the last game I ever played. And I had worked really hard to this point to be able to be that kid who would, it didn't matter who was in front of me, I would take him out, right? And I played wide receiver. How many of you guys know what the favoriteest thing the wide receiver loves to do? Other than score touchdowns. I think you know what I'm talking about. It's called a crackback block. Okay? The wide receiver takes off downfield and he tricks the guys that are out there, and there's a linebacker usually coming this way reading the play. And that wide receiver then turns like this, and right before he gets to the linebacker that's coming this way that doesn't see him, he yells at him, and he just lays him out. And it's like, how many of you saw that play this last year for the Seahawks when Golden Tate hit the linebacker from the Dallas Cowboys and knocked him out? Okay, that's a crackback block. Alright? I love doing that. It's perfectly clean. He's not a defenseless player. Don't let the NFL lie to you. Okay? That's part of the game. It's a violent game, and it was so much fun as a receiver. Alright? You just love it. Alright? So this one game, we have this play coming around I played on the left side, and we had a really amazing running back. His name was Prentice Lee. We had this play coming around the outside. It was a sweep, and I got to do a crack block on it. Well, I don't even remember the team we were playing, but I'm out there, and I go, and I stop, and I turn, and here comes this linebacker. He doesn't see me. It was just a thing of beauty. He was served up on a platter. We practiced this, and practiced a little bit, but it was never like this because the guy knew it was coming. He didn't know it was coming. I think his friends had to help him up off the field, and there was like little birdies flying around his head, it was so amazing, and I got the goosebumps, and I just got them again thinking about it. It's not that I like hurting people either, okay, but it was just fun, right? However, you have to do it in a way that's legal. So, in order for it to be legal, my head has to be on the side of his body where his stomach is, not his back. Well, the referee said I had my head on his back. So they called it back and made us move backwards. However, my coach called that same play again. And I did the same thing again. He still didn't. I don't think he was too brilliant myself. I think I hit him too hard. But I did it again. I laid him out again. Prentice Lee runs for, I don't know how many yards. I think he got caught that time. But it was an amazing block and an amazing time. I worked really hard. And I got to experience the joy that comes from focusing on doing that one play and practicing and just giving it everything I've got and making it work. And because of that, I actually have it here. I earned my letter for football. Okay, now there should be other little ones here for JV, but I never took the time to throw them on there. So, something I'm slightly proud of there. Now, like I said before, I'm in school. Now, I'm in a certificate of ministry program at Northwest University, which if you guys are looking to go to school, I recommend checking this one out. Actually, Mike here is going to be a student there too in the fall. So, I'm in the certificate of ministry program. It's going to help me be a better teacher and preacher. I'm going to understand God's word more. But one of the things that I've been telling everybody, and I've been telling you, is that I feel like God has called me to work in missions with you somehow. So it's my goal to be like the Apostle Paul. You guys know who that guy was? Don't everybody answer at once. You get that? You know I heard you. Alright. He was a missionary and an evangelist of sorts. However, I'm not looking to go on those long-term mission trips like he did. I kind of want to do the short-term thing. The more I go on the short-term one, the more I seem to like them. But my goal is to do this with you guys. I want to take the youth on these short-term mission trips. I want to make you guys more missional, like the Apostle Paul. Now, he had this one characteristic about him that served him well later on in his life. Did you guys know that he spent over 2 years in prison? And for a lot of that time, he was chained to a guard for 24 hours a day. Could you imagine being chained to anything for 24 hours a day? Literally in chains. Could you imagine that? Yeah. Okay. Well, it didn't stop that one time. This was for an extended period of time. And he was handcuffed to a Roman guard who probably didn't want to be handcuffed to him. Okay? So I'm going to guess that since this Roman guard didn't want to be handcuffed to him, it wasn't the most pleasant situation for him or the guard. But because the Apostle Paul had this characteristic of being single-minded for the Lord, meaning he focused everything that he had on God and on Jesus and spreading the gospel, he was able to tell the entire palace guard at Caesar's palace, not in Las Vegas, okay, the actual palace, he was able to tell the entire guard about God and about Jesus and the salvation that he brought on the cross. Now, I've learned through my studies that he would have been chained for to at least 4 guards a day. They would change every 6 hours. Okay, so 4 guards every 6 hours, and I don't even know if that was the same 4 guards every day. They might have changed. So one day it'd be these 4, the next day it'd be those 4, the next day those 4, and the next day those 4. But whatever the case was, because of it, Paul was able to tell the entire palace guard about Christ. He was single-minded in his focus for Christ. These guards, when they were chained to him, they had to listen to him talk about Jesus. They had to watch him write letters to different churches throughout the world that they knew. Okay? They had to watch him pray for his food. They saw a guy named Epaphroditus come and do his work for him and pray with him and stuff like that. 24 hours a day. Okay? It even got to the point where in Philippians, which we're going to read here in a minute, it talks about how the servants of Caesar came to know about Christ. Not just the palace guard, but all of the servants, his whole household got to know about Christ. Alright, so if you guys would, turn with me to the book of Philippians. And we're going to look at chapter 1, verse 12, and down to 25. Philippians 1:12. Alright, it says, and I want you to know, my dear brothers and sisters, that everything that has happened to me here has helped to spread the good news. So everyone here, including the whole palace guard, knows that I am in chains because of Christ. And because of my imprisonment, most of the believers here have gained confidence and boldly speak God's message without fear. It's true that some are preaching out of jealousy and rivalry, but others preach about Christ with pure motives. They preach because they love me, and for they know I have been appointed to defend the good news. Those others do not have pure motives as they preach about Christ. They preach with selfish ambition, not sincerely, intending to make my chains more painful for me. But that doesn't matter. Whether their motives are false or genuine, the message about Christ is being preached either way, so I rejoice. For I know that as you pray for me and the Spirit of Jesus Christ helps me, this will lead to my deliverance. For I fully expect and hope that I will never be ashamed, but that I will continue to be bold for Christ as I have been in the past. And I trust my life will bring honor to Christ whether I live or die. For to me, living means living for Christ, and dying is even better. But if I live, I can do more fruitful work for Christ. So I really don't know which is better. I'm torn between two desires. I long to go and be with Christ, but which would be better for me? For your sake, it's better that I continue to live. Knowing this, I'm convinced that I will remain alive so I can continue to help you grow and experience joy of your faith. The joy of your faith. So that was Philippians 1, verses 12 to 25.